There's something extraordinary waiting right outside the boundaries of what you've been taught to believe. Something powerful, something ancient and deeply familiar. And if you're reading these words right now, it's not by coincidence. This moment, this message, this pull you feel in your heart, it's all part of the unfolding. You're ready. Not because you've done all the right things, but because something inside you has awakened just enough to recognize the truth when it calls. For too long, we've been caught in a narrative that tells us we're not enough as we are, that we have to hustle, strive, improve, and prove ourselves to earn our place in life. We've been told that success is measured by effort, that happiness is a reward we unlock through struggle, that peace is a final destination after we've checked every box and fixed every flaw. But that's not how reality truly works. That's just the surface story, the conditioned layer we've inherited from generations of fear, control, and misunderstanding. The deeper truth is far more liberating and far more empowering. You are not here to become more. You are here to remember who you already are. Nothing is missing from you. Nothing essential needs to be added. What you're seeking isn't somewhere out there in the future. It's already encoded within your very being. The joy, the abundance, the clarity, the purpose, they're not goals to chase, but frequencies to tune into. The universe is not holding out on you. Every reality you can imagine already exists, and your job isn't to force it into being, but to align yourself with the version of you that is already living it. And that alignment starts within. We've been taught to trust only what we can see, touch, and measure. But that's like judging a book by the light reflecting off its cover. The physical world is not the origin of your reality. It's the echo. It's the afterimage of your inner landscape. The real work happens in the invisible realms, in your beliefs, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. That's where your power lives. But here's where the real shift begins. When you realize that you're not just operating through one level of self. You are a layered being, vast and multidimensional. What some traditions call body, mind, and spirit, or conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, can also be seen as the material, the mental, and the meta. Most people live only from the material layer, reacting to the physical world and trying to manipulate it from the outside. But that's like trying to rearrange the reflection in the mirror without touching the person standing in front of it. When you begin to work with the mental layer, your inner dialogue, your emotional patterns, your beliefs, you start to shift the reflection. You begin to see tangible change. Yes, but it's still just the beginning. It's when you connect with the meta layer, the deep, intuitive intelligence that transcends logic, the presence that watches your thoughts without becoming them, the eternal aspect of you that remembers the truth even when you forget. That's when life transforms. Because at that level, you stop striving and start allowing. You stop searching and start receiving. You realize that you're not the limited identity you've been defending, not the name, the history, or the roles you've played. You are awareness itself, pure creative potential choosing, moment by moment, which version of reality to experience. And the moment you embrace that truth fully, you become untouchable in the best way. Not invincible to challenge, but free from the illusion that circumstances define you. You no longer bend to fear, because you remember you are the author of the story, not the character trapped in it. You begin to live deliberately, with grace and power, not by overpowering life, but by flowing with it. So if you're standing at a threshold right now, feeling the stir of something more, something true, don't ignore it. That's your signal. That's your soul reminding you that you were never meant to play small, to forget, to conform. You were meant to awaken. You were meant to remember. You were meant to rise. And now, you are. The deeper reality, the one that truly shapes our experience, is not physical. It is mental, emotional, and, at its core, energetic. This is the realm of your subconscious mind, the vast and often hidden part of you that silently orchestrates the script of your life. Your subconscious is not some passive mental storage unit. It is the blueprint from which your reality is constructed. Every belief you hold, every thought you repeatedly entertain, every emotion you habitually feel, and every assumption you carry. These form the essence of your self-concept. And that self-concept acts as a kind of inner magnet or mold, shaping not just your perception, but the actual events, relationships, and conditions of your external world. We often forget that our lived experience is not being imposed on us randomly or solely through external circumstances. Rather, it is being broadcast outward from within us, much like a projector casting an image onto a screen. Your body, your finances, your health, your relationships, these are not isolated compartments of life. They are direct reflections of your inner state. What you see out there is just an echo of what's going on in here. This isn't just poetic metaphor, it's energetic law. And yet, so many remain trapped in the old paradigm of change. They hustle harder, chase more, push themselves into burnout, all in an effort to shift something externally without ever addressing the cause behind the effect. It's like trying to fix a distorted reflection in the mirror by polishing the glass. But the mirror only reflects what stands before it. Real transformation begins by changing the image that is being reflected, by shifting the internal blueprint, not the external circumstances. This is why inner work is not just important, it is essential. When you begin to investigate the deep-seated beliefs that have gone unchallenged for years, when you bring awareness to emotional wounds and consciously release them, when you rewrite the stories you've unconsciously rehearsed over and over, your entire vibrational signature begins to shift. And as that shift happens within you, the world around you adjusts effortlessly to match it. Suddenly, what once seemed hard begins to unfold with ease. Opportunities arise, relationships transform, health improves, not because you forced them to, but because you aligned with a new inner state that naturally magnetized them into your experience. But there is a layer even deeper still, a realm often called spiritual or superconscious, or, in my own language, the meta. This is the most expansive level of your being, the part of you that transcends identity, story, and even thought. It is awareness itself, the quiet observer that sees through illusion, that remembers who you truly are beyond your conditioning, and that holds the vision of your highest potential. Unfortunately, many people relate to this spiritual dimension in a limited way. They turn it into an external authority, a distant, divine being who may or may not grant them favor depending on behavior or belief. But this is just another layer of separation, another illusion. The meta is not something outside of you. It is you, the part of you that is eternal, intuitive, and unconditionally wise. It's not a God above, it's the God within. And when you begin to tune into this deeper intelligence, not as a concept, but as a felt, lived reality, you begin to operate from a completely different level of consciousness. Living fully, living with power, requires integrating all three levels of existence: the material, the mental, and the meta. Each has its place. The material world offers us the playground of experience, where ideas and energy take shape. The mental and emotional realm holds the codes that shape those experiences, and the meta, the spiritual essence, infuses everything with meaning, direction, and creative force. When these three levels are in harmony, you are no longer caught in survival mode. You stop reacting to life and begin consciously creating it. You move from fear into flow, from control into alignment, from limitation into expansion. And most importantly, you begin to live as the fullest version of yourself, not just thinking about change, but embodying it, radiating it, becoming it. We often relegate the physical aspect of ourselves to the bottom of our internal hierarchy, as though it's somehow less evolved or less meaningful than our mental or spiritual dimensions. But this perspective misses something essential. In truth, the physical, mental, and spiritual facets of our being are not separate or ranked. They are interwoven, equal, and indispensable. What we're really dealing with here is not a linear spectrum, but a sacred trinity, a dynamic interplay of forces that together create the architecture of our existence in this three-dimensional world. Each one is like a leg of a three-legged stool. Remove or neglect any one, and the entire structure falters. Balance isn't optional, it's foundational. This trinity is not just a philosophical idea, it's a lived reality. Without nurturing the physical body, the vessel through which all experience flows, we cannot fully anchor the insights of the mind or the revelations of the spirit. Without mental clarity and emotional mastery, we become reactive, trapped in loops of conditioning that dim our spiritual awareness. And without spiritual connection, the remembrance of who and what we truly are, we drift, disconnected from purpose, lacking the deeper meaning that breathes life into everything else. When one area is neglected, it doesn't just impact that domain alone. It sends ripples through the entire system. The result is dissonance, a sense of misalignment that shows up as fatigue, confusion, dissatisfaction, or stagnation. But something powerful happens when we begin to take full ownership of all three aspects of our being. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about listening more deeply to ourselves, about becoming fluent in the language of our own soul. When we stop compartmentalizing and start integrating, tending to the body with love, honing the mind with intention, and opening to spirit with trust, we begin to remember who we truly are. This process isn't about changing into someone new. It's about uncovering the truth that's always been there, buried beneath layers of conditioning and forgetting. True power begins with responsibility. When you recognize that your outer world is a reflection of your inner state, you stop blaming circumstances and start becoming the conscious creator of your life. And this creation is not born of force or frantic doing. It emerges from alignment. The kind of alignment that happens when all aspects of yourself are working in harmony, pulling in the same direction. That's when effort feels lighter. That's when life begins to flow. Not because it's suddenly free of challenges, but because you're no longer at war with yourself. So pause for a moment. Really look at your life. Where does it feel heavy? Where does it feel off, out of rhythm with what you know in your heart to be true? Instead of reaching for more productivity, more control, or more external validation, consider looking inward. You are not here to chase a better version of yourself through endless striving. You are here to return to wholeness, to shift your self-concept, elevate your mindset, and reattune your awareness to the truth that you are already complete. This is your deeper work. To remember that you are both human and divine, both matter and spirit. You chose this life, this duality, to rediscover your infinite nature within a finite experience. You're not truly inventing anything new. You're aligning with the timeline, the version of reality that already exists and is waiting for you to claim it. Manifestation is not magic, it's resonance. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are in harmony with. And harmony comes from integration. This means honoring the body not as an afterthought, but as a sacred instrument. Moving it, feeding it, resting it with the same reverence you offer your spiritual practices. It means observing your thoughts, understanding your patterns, and choosing beliefs that uplift and expand you rather than shrink or sabotage you. And it means connecting daily with that deeper, still place within, the spark of the divine that has always been guiding you, even when you weren't listening. But insight alone is not enough. You must act. Spiritual downloads and mental clarity must be followed by physical embodiment. Your purpose won't materialize if it remains an idea. You have to ground it in your actions. You have to live it. Every small step, every aligned decision is a declaration of who you are becoming. So no, none of these aspects of you are lesser. None should be ignored. You are not just a body. You are not just a mind. You are not just a soul. You are all of it. You are the convergence point of heaven and earth, thought and form, spirit and matter. And when you begin living from that truth, you become magnetic. You become unstoppable, not in a forceful way, but in a graceful, powerful, natural way. You create not from desperation, but from inspiration. This is what you came here for. Not to fight your way through life, but to flow with it. Not to reject parts of yourself, but to love them back into wholeness. To fully inhabit your humanity while remembering your divinity. And in doing so, to live a life that feels not only successful, but sacred.